Welcome, Devesh, my money guy, the expert on all things profit, cash flow, and mindset. So honored to have you, brother. Thank you for volunteering your time, despite all the technical difficulties we had before, to show up and just give massive value, share your gifts with our audience. We've got some live visitors here. Jasmine is joining, and we had a lot of questions from the group, so I know that your talk here is highly anticipated. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. No, I absolutely appreciate that.
Love it. So I'm going to put you on mute for a while. Jasmine, we're going to have questions, kind of Q&A style towards the end. So I'm going to drill you with questions for the next, I don't know, probably 15 minutes. And then we'll open it up for anyone else to ask their questions and have a little dialogue. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Devesh. So let's start with the basics. You know, I freaking love you. We know each other from, Brad Newman, and we're in different programs together. Andrew Crozy, and shout out to all those amazing people. But tell everyone else who doesn't know your genius yet, like a little bit about who you are, what you do for people, and why we should pay attention to you. Who are you, Devesh?
Yes. So thank you for asking that. So my name is Devesh, and I help entrepreneurs with their money game, right? Like with their finances, with their strategies, and essentially it's to get them what they want, right? It's always about what is it that they want out of the business. It's always about what is it that they originally started the business to get, right? Sometimes it's time freedom, money freedom, whatever that looks like for whoever. And for each entrepreneur, it's very different. And I help them get what they want. That's as simple as that. And I've been doing this for on and off, you can say, since 2005, 2006 time. So I've been doing this for a very long time. And up until just last year, I started to tap into the online world of things. So I've been working with all these, what you would call the mom pop businesses or the traditional businesses. I've been working with them for almost, over a decade. And then last year, I had the opportunity to work with Scott Oldford. Many of you may have heard of him, and that's where I started to play in the online world. So I played the money guy in his Project Nuclear program. And that's where I got to work with a lot of these 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs as their money guy, like the on-call CFO, so to speak. And, that got my interest really into the online businesses. And now the online businesses, when I say, it kind of shrinks to the coaches, the consultants, the info product businesses, the e-commerce at a stretch. We don't talk about many other businesses, but there are literally dozens of industries out there and hundreds of types of businesses and business models. And I've been working with them and enjoying that since a very long time.
So good, man. That's so powerful. So you've helped physically brick and mortar type people really in person. I see there's a ton of books there. So you've clearly, not just started this business sort of yesterday. So bringing a ton of experience to the table. And then, Scott Olford, like having experience working with his clients and so on. That's powerful. We're big fans. We're big fans of Scott Olford here in the conscious entrepreneur community. So you're welcome to be here. So that's super helpful. I'm very curious about the kinds of problems that you find more of the sort of online coaches, consultants, and info product entrepreneurs. What are kind of the challenges and common problems that you walk them through? Because I'm sure we're going to go through some of the questions that we got from our audience, but I'm pretty sure there's some common themes that emerge, right? So what do you have to share with them?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So one is very universal, which is the mindset itself, the money stories, as I call it, the money stories that we keep telling ourselves. And that's not very specific to online folks. It's specific to all of us. All of us have money stories. Mm-hmm. And that in many cases is keeping us from getting what we really want, whether it's money, time, or resources, or freedom, whatever you may have started the business for. Your money stories are a very big factor in keeping you from getting to that. So we'll talk about that. So that's one common thing across all business owners. The other one, of course, is, not having a very good understanding of their own numbers. And, entrepreneurs in general, are extremely, extremely good at something. So, I give an example of a chef. I'm an absolutely fantastic chef. And one day I decide to open my restaurant. The problem here is that I've never owned and run a restaurant. So all of a sudden, just because I'm a good chef, does that make me a good restaurant owner? Is the real question that I should be answering before I get into it. But most chefs don't answer that question and get like a jump, as the saying goes, that entrepreneurship is all about making the leap and then figuring out the parachute on your way down. So so most entrepreneurs do that, which is awesome. This is why I love entrepreneurs. I've been an entrepreneur myself. I am an entrepreneur myself, and I work with them. I absolutely love them. But what would help is a little bit of forethought at the very onset, and then also some ongoing understanding of different parts of business. Developing that would be super helpful, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't know that, and I call it the secret language of the millionaires, which is money. You really need to know how money works. You can only win a game if you know how it is played. If you don't know the rules, it's very difficult. You're leaving your win at the mercy of luck or fortune, and that's not how games are won.
Yes, 100%, man. So much value in everything you said just now, like money being the secret language of millionaires. And I think that we can all relate to that. Most people coming into finding their gifts and expressing them, they're just like really about serving people. And this is what I experience with my own clients. They're all about helping the world, helping everyone. In the beginning, they want to help everyone. They're like, okay, now I have to niche down and help a specific person. But there's way more nuances to building a thriving business and getting clear on your niche and your ideal client and their problems, right? That's like the basics, the foundation. Once you start playing the game, you start creating money. And I'm guilty of this, you've got to stay super on track with the details. Oh my gosh, like especially like I call myself sort of the visionary leader personality type, right? So I'm always chasing the ideas and the inspiration, and then being in the data, in the reality of things, like grounded in that way, being willing to have both ideas in your head and be able to do both. That's the key skill that we all can learn. So I think when we talk about money stories, I want to just share like a couple of them. It's just like when I'm thinking, oh, because I am creative, therefore I can't also master the money. Like, that doesn't even make sense, right? Those are limiting beliefs, right?
No. Yes, so, and that's exactly so. Sorry to interject, but this is a perfect example of a money story. I was giving a ride to a cousin of mine, and she asked me, "You keep talking about this money stories, money stories." She's a young lady. She's starting her own business, and and we found 20 minutes together because I was giving her a ride somewhere, and she's like, "You keep talking about this money story. What the heck is a money story?"
Yeah.
Right? And what you just said is a money story. Things that you tell yourself that because I'm creative, because my parents were not rich, because XYZ, because ABC, things that you tell yourself to make an excuse in your mind to not have the money is what you essentially are manifesting then. And guess what? The universe is giving you exactly that. It's saying, yeah, you know what? You're not. So you're not going to have it.
That's right. So what if the opposite is true, right? When we do, you're my amazing mindset coach, and I know this is what I would do with my clients. Like, what if the opposite is true? What if because I'm creative, I have all these creative, amazing ways to utilize this money, right? And because of that, I get to master this money game. So I can create more of these amazing things in the world, right?
Yes, 100%, 100%. So, so we have hundreds of variations of these. We keep telling ourselves, and yes, 100%, this is mindset work. And, it could come from anywhere. It doesn't have to be adversity alone. This is another thing that I deal with. Like, some people say, well, I had a very good childhood. Why would I have money stories? No, it catches, like, it's a very infectious thing. I'll tell you a quick story about in the hindsight, I can tell you that I got infected once, because I pay as much attention now, but back then I didn't. So when I was doing my MBA, everybody around me in the class was all about, we have to get a 100K job. We have to get a 100K job. This was never my goal. It never came from me, but just because everybody around me kept saying that we have to get a 100K job, all of a sudden, when I was looking for jobs after my MBA and while I was doing my MBA, I never paid as much attention to what jobs I was applying. I was that blinded by no. If everybody is getting 100K, that's the benchmark. I'm getting 100K. I'm no less than anybody. Right? So sometimes these money stories can come from the left field, which you're expecting that's creating a ceiling in your own head. Right? A ceiling of 100K. Maybe you could have got a 150K job. Or maybe the best job for you is the 85K job where you should be starting and learning what you're really good at, what you're passionate about, what you want to do in your long-term career. So that 100K shouldn't be where you should be revolved. It shouldn't be the axis of your universe at that time where you revolve around, right? So that's the idea.
Dude, that's so powerful what you're saying.
Pay attention.
Yeah, so that's powerful. I can't wait to share this with the group so that they, I know, just thinking of some of the clients I work with, they've been indoctrinated, by their parents to work a certain line of work, and it's like, yeah, that's very limiting, right? And that's especially thinking that in today's world where you can create a business online, your income doesn't have to be limited by what your gift is or your passion. You can literally do exactly that and bring it out to the world. I'm sure you've helped a lot of people do exactly that, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Beautiful.
And this is why I usually introduce myself as saying, I get you what you want.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah. So
right?
A lot of people in my community are, considering themselves conscious entrepreneurs, which has also like a spiritual perhaps side to it. And I know personally, but I also wonder if you've experienced specific sort of money stories around people who think of themselves as spiritual people. Is there a certain kind of theme that you've noticed with people that are perhaps limiting beliefs or stories, with those kinds of entrepreneurs that also find themselves, meditating or having sort of religious practices?
Yeah. So a couple of things, I see a lot of spiritual people and, we call it spiritual, faith, religious. Let's extend to that as well, right? So the religious and the faith things as well. What I have noticed in entrepreneurs who are more centered around faith, religion, spirituality, and even alternative therapies for that matter, typically, and again, I'm generalizing right now. So that's a very broad statement that typically I see them struggle with the whole idea of money is the root of all evil. Mm-hmm. I'm here to heal people. I'm here to fix problems. I'm here to make an impact. I'm here to do good for the world. I'm here to make a dent in the universe. I hear all these variations from them, right? So this is their story that they tell themselves. And that's very true. That's their purpose. That's their passion. That's their, calling. But the idea is, the undercurrent that they put, there is, but money is not what I'm here for. Money is not like, what is going to help me. The problem there, though, is everything I just said, the dent in the universe, the impact, the healing, the fixing, the passion, the purpose, the priorities, the fixing the universe and all that stuff, all that can be done so much more easily, smoothly, and relatively, fast with money versus in the lack of, right?
100%.
So if I have the resources, I can make the impact, right? If I have the resources, I can make the the dent in the universe. If I have the resources, I don't have to worry about my mortgage, my bills, my kids, my whatever else. I don't have to worry about it and make decisions based on that kind of scarcity or desperation. I can actually be completely free and make my decisions out of what is really right in the moment, versus worrying about, no, I need to make this sale because I have a bill coming up or something like that, right?
Exactly.
It actually goes worse if you don't pay attention. And if you look at it, some of the folks who are very spiritual, who have this kind of an undercurrent to their practice, the successful ones do very well with their money too. They have no shame or no embarrassment or no shyness of some sort in asking for that exchange of money for that healing, money for that fixing. I go to a doctor, he fixes me, but he charges me a fees, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I felt that I had sort of a spiritual experience literally yet last night with money. So I thought it was really, really fascinating that now we're meeting. So this might sound crazy for some of you guys. It is too woo-woo for you, and that's okay. I thought it was crazy myself, actually. But when you talk about the money stories, I always knew that money has its own sort of energy to it. I wasn't really aware of it consciously, but money has its own female energy to it. And one of my mentors told me that. And so I started personalizing that, right? Imagine that what if money was a person? I want to invite anybody watching right now. What if money was a person? What would he or she look like, right? For me, it was a woman, a beautiful woman that appeared way far in the distance, way far in the distance, like way over there. And I was like, how about that? Why is that all the way over there? And I just asked myself, what if she was like right here? And I went through this sort of in my room, literally talking to myself, like process of like bringing her close. And I was like, wow. And I was feeling like I was in the presence of a really beautiful woman. I was like a little intimidated. I was a little scared. I was like a little intimidated by her. And so I went through this, conversation, authentically said how I felt and everything and how beautiful she is. And you know what? At the end of it, I found that, I asked her, what do you want to create? And she said, travel, and impact and have fun. And I was like, what else? And then more of that, travel and cars. It's like cars. I like cars. That's what I want. And I suddenly realized that was actually coming from within me. And suddenly, like that woman who was in a distance, it was nowhere to be found because it was coming literally from the inside out. And that literally just happened last night. And I felt like it was like a sort of spiritual, perhaps energetic breakthrough that now me and money, like we're one. And I said to myself, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of this money energy. I'm going to take care of the money that's coming towards me. Because what I found, I don't know if you can relate to this, there are a lot of people who don't trust themselves with money. Like they don't trust themselves that they'll make good decisions with money. And so how is the money going to keep coming to them, right? If they don't trust themselves to do good things. So this is why we need to learn the skills and practice the money mindset and really do right by knowing our numbers, right? So yeah, that was something that happened last night. I couldn't wait to share this with you.
Absolutely. So one of the interesting thing is, I belong from the Hindu faith, and we have a goddess of wealth, and her name is Goddess Lakshmi. So L-A-K. I typed it in chat, and many people know about this big festival that we celebrate called Diwali, the Festival of Lights.
Yeah.
Right? Many people know about that. And they know it as fireworks. They know it as Festival of Lights. What they don't know, the actual, the traditional, story behind it. Not many people know. But one of the things that we do on that day is actually for 3 straight days, we actually worship Goddess Lakshmi. Cool. And the whole idea is to bring wealth in your life. The whole idea is to clean up bad energy, clean up anything that could be hindering the, her presence and her entering your life, clearing all that. And what that means is you clean up your house, you do this, you do that, you get new clothes, all of this, clearing all the bad energy, bringing new energy, you're welcoming her, right? And the other thing that we say about this goddess is the fact that she doesn't like to stay in one place. Okay? She loves to move. She loves to travel. So meaning, if you just hoard, like if I give you $30,000 right now, and all you do is you just put it in your in your account or put it in a vault somewhere, and you try to just hoard that money, it actually would find its way to get away from you. But if you make good use of it, meaning if you invest in yourself, if you invest in your business, invest in your quality of life, whatever that is, it will find its way to come back to you as well.
If you love something, let it go, right? It's very, this is just it's a relationship. That's such powerful knowledge, man. Dude, thank you so much for sharing that. And then just in case we're losing people who are not all into spiritual development yet, let's also find some really real grounded practices, knowledge. we have some questions from the audience as well, but I'd love to know if you have some value, some things that a business owner, maybe coaches, consultants, people doing business online can immediately implement to get more profit into the bottom line.
Yeah, 100%. So pay attention to your cash flow. I'm not the first one to tell you that, but let me be one of them to remind you. It's one of those things that that we don't pay attention to. We are constantly, especially in the online world, I have noticed there is a lot of noise to just sell more. Are you a 6-figure entrepreneur yet? Are you a 7-figure entrepreneur yet? Are you making 8-figure sales yet? And what's your Facebook ad return and all that kind of stuff, right? And while all of that is awesome, one of the heartbreaking things I saw in online world is people who are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars of sales, millions of dollars of sales, had nothing in profit at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. While also only paying themselves, I kid you not, I'll tell you, this is a story that's on my sales page as well. I always tell that, a woman who was selling upwards of $3 million, and between her and her husband combined, they were paying themselves $30,000 a year.
Wow.
And she started crying when I said, you are so good at what you do, I'll find you a job for $100K. Would you stop doing this business and come join me for $100K? And she started crying. Like, you're the first one who has shown belief that I'm so good at what I do that I deserve $100K out of my business. That's the money story that she's telling herself. She's having this guilt in taking money out of the business.
That's true.
Right? So again, the idea is, pay attention to not just the sales number. Yes, it's very good, to have really high sales numbers. I did $1 million in sales. I have another client who last year did, really chased. She was really after, I have to make $1 million in sales because everybody's making $1 million in sales. She did. And she ended up with very little profit. This year alone, started working on her. And I said, if you just let go of this idea of $1 million sales, I can make you more profit.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, how will you do that? I said, just trust me on this one and let's go through this. Right? And this year, it's been only 4 or 5 months, the months that are in the books. She is less than her sales right now, tracking compared to last year, and she has doubled the profits.
Nice.
And we have made those tweaks, right? The idea is either you are feeding your ego or chasing some sort of a random goal that was not yours. Just like back in my MBA days, I was chasing the 100K job. This is the story that someone else told you. This is the story that someone else's Facebook ad showed you. I need to sell 7 figures. And now you're chasing it. It's not your story. Don't chase it. Chase your own story. What is it that you want out of it? So if in your case, let's say it's as simple as, I want a super simple life and I want more time with my kids. And, what would allow this is, I don't know, $200,000 in annual income. Let's break it down with that, makes it so much simpler, easier, lighter for you to have a goal that is so much more achievable. You go after that. Once you have achieved it, nothing stops you from scaling it even further.
Exactly.
If on day one, you pick up this big boulder of, I'm going to run with $1 million in sales, trust me, it's not going to work out. And I've seen it work out in both traditional businesses, the mom and pop businesses, the larger companies, and in larger proportions. Oh, we want to be a $20 million, $50 million company now. And next year they are writing off losses, right?
Dude, this is so powerful for people to take in. Yeah, so I'm really just want to bring it home, and I think you're doing the same thing. So I think the key insight here is people need to get clear on what lifestyle they actually want to live. How much will it cost them to live that lifestyle? And you might find it doesn't require a multi-million-dollar business to do this. You just might need to have a conversation with a professional, right? Or dial it in, or figure out, what it is. And also the other thing too, I think I'm hearing from your story and what I'm seeing a lot, we're all into being able to find our value and raise our prices and have high ticket offers. But some people could actually make, far more with selling more units or whatever if they have a scalable product. By actually dropping the price, or the other way, right? By actually just getting clear on what the value is selling fewer things, but having a bigger price point and owning that.
Yeah, 100%. So I always say, look at what problem you're solving and who you're solving it for, if you think about it. So for example, no matter how wonderful your product is, right? Unbelievable product, unbelievable craft, unbelievable, delivery. And, let's say it's priced at like, $5,000, which is a very decent price. It's in the traditional world, it's a high ticket offer. But let's say you solve that problem for, CEOs who are $10 million more or higher companies, right? Do you think that a CEO who is running a $10 million company or $20 million or $50 million company has the patience to go through your $5,000 product? No, he doesn't. Which is why he ends up with the larger consulting companies, like, the typical consulting companies that are going to charge him hundreds of thousands of dollars, because there are two things that are playing in his head. One is, am I not able to solve a $5,000 problem myself? Right? And the second thing is, can I trust a $5,000 solution for my multi-million-dollar problem?
Wow.
Right? So all of a sudden, the customer, no matter how good you are and how promising your solution is, if they are not going to trust that solution at the price that you're offering it, for you it may be high. Oh, $5,000, this is my high ticket offer. But the person who, and you may also think that, yeah, you know what, a $10 million CEO does have $5,000 to pay me. So it does justify the common sense advice that we get from all the gurus, but it doesn't that the fact that the guy who's sitting in that chair is not making decision from that perspective. He is making that decision from the perspective of, you know what, I need an expert for at least 6 months sitting here in my office to solve this problem with me and train my team how to do it and all that. And that's where you might be able to sell a $100,000 gig, right?
Yep.
So you have to really think about whether it's high ticket, low ticket, whatever. You have to think about, does the customer trust this solution for their problem at this price point?
Wow.
A CFO, if he's like, if it's a $50 million company and the CFO, and a CFO has to be hired, the CEO is not going to go through your $10,000 a month virtual CFO program. He just cannot believe that you can bring the attention that his problem needs. So you will always end up, just frustrating yourself that, oh my God, I'm giving them so much value for only $5K. And this guy is still not buying. What's wrong with this guy? But my question is, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Right. So anyways, the point is, you can scale this down to a $99 product. So same thing. If I run a 6-figure business and I have a money problem and you have a $99 money mastery program, do I trust that $99 money mastery program?
Yeah, you're right. Like I was just talking to one of my clients who's a coach, right? And he's talking to someone who's a prospect, and he's also a coach charging $30 per session. And it's like, what? It's like, what? Like my mind is like, what do you do? Like, do you give somebody, yeah, so like my mind is exactly, it's a mindset. So in the same way we think about somebody who offers a $5 service to us, right? That's how somebody who's making multi-million dollars thinking about our $5,000, $6,000 product. So that's an amazing mindset perspective. Dude, this is massive value. Thank you so much, Devesh. This is going to be game changer. I want to get into some of the questions that we have, and we have a couple of people on the line.
Yeah, please, because my goal, as I told you before we were recording, my goal is people who showed up, I want to make sure that it's absolute value for them at the very least, because we want to appreciate their time. Their questions are absolutely answered. So if we want to go with the live guests first, and then we'll go over all the lists that you have, is that okay?
That sounds great. Yeah, I want to just share some of the comments that our people live here dropped so they can get ready to jump on. Jasmine, if it's okay with you, drop a comment. I'm going to unmute you here in a moment because I freaking would love to hear you. Your engagement has been powerful. She is saying that's so good. she asked a question: where does the work to do, to reinvent your story about money begin? Where does that begin? She was saying, damn, that was good. My goodness, and I'm here. Okay, great. So she's ready, Jasmine. I'm gonna unmute you. Thank you for showing up, and let's do this. Jasmine.
Hey, I'm here. How are you?
Welcome.
Doing good. Great. How are you?
I am doing well. It's such a pleasure to be on with you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Yeah. What's your question? Jasmine?
Yeah. So this is a very interesting topic for me. Just being that my awareness to my own personal, background and trauma surrounding money is starting to, come up, right? So my question is, you have the awareness now that, hey, these mindset blockages are really standing in the way of your goals and your impact. But like, where do you really truly begin to reinventing that story? I guess my question is like, what does that work look like?
Yes. So, it's a very good question. And, people hire me to do this with them. But the short answer, the simple short answer is it starts at awareness, right? So knowing that, yes, this is what's causing it. But even more importantly, it doesn't stop at that level of awareness. If it does, then you haven't done yourself any good. You probably have, you're going to frustrate yourself that now I also know why it's there, right? So the way it starts, like, the way you have to start practicing is you have to somewhat frame a question around that story and use that question as a filter to every money decision that you make. And over the time, this is how you're rewiring your brain. So for example, I'll give you a simple example. Okay. Let's say, like, I was working with a client, and the money story was around the same thing, that, I can't afford it. No matter how much money she had it, she would always just say, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And when we dug deeper, it was the idea that when she was growing up, because she grew up with about, I think, 6 siblings, the first response, like the default response from mom and dad, no matter what you were asking for, and even if you were asking for a pencil for schoolwork, the default answer immediately was no, right? No, we can't afford it. And then you had to make a case as a child to get that, item from mom and dad. And she shared it with me. And then I we started to frame a question around that story that, hey, can we not afford it because we don't have the money? Or can we not afford it because we are waiting for a business case around it? Right? So all of a sudden, every money decision that came across her, I said, maybe put it right in front of your computer, put it on the whiteboard, put it wherever you see it most. But every time before you say, no, we can't afford it, the question that you have to ask yourself is, can we not afford it because we can't afford it? We don't have the actual money in our account. Or can we not afford it because we need a business case, we need a use case to justify this purchase? And very quickly, what she realized is that it had just become her default answer because that's how she grew up. So no matter what she wanted, she always said that. So the point here is, the awareness that you have, if you have, like, whatever awareness that you have right now, which you mentioned that, through your post-trauma or whatever, like, the money stories that are coming up, try to frame a question around it, that am I doing it because of this, or is it really true? And over the time, you will rewire your brain in saying, yeah, you know what? No, this is not true. This is not true. This is not true. This is how I operate now, right? And again, there are multiple other things. There is tapping. There is, like, there is, NLP. There are a couple other things that coaches will try. Like, you can go the longer route of, learning about these things and doing these things on your own, or you can have some outside support. Doesn't have to be me. Again, it's not a sales pitch. I want to make sure that it's value, but there is always, support outside where I don't have to learn it myself and do it myself. I can have a coach who, supports me through the journey and gets me there faster.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So really, it's not a real quick, it's not a quick solution. It's, it's not saying, hey, this is my deal, and okay, I see you problem, and it's over. It's a process. So I think that's what I was mainly just trying to get an understanding of the actual process, and you did a great job of explaining that to me. I can see it much better now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see people, I see clients come to me, very often with an expectation that maybe there is a magic trick I have that I'll extract something out of your brain and do something and it will work. It only works in movies like that. You do get aha moments, you do get your your transformative moments, but at the end of the day, those are your light bulb moments, and those are your realizations. But the realizations and those aha moments have to be followed with very disciplined execution, right? To make it
Exactly.
actually happen. Knowing something or thinking, like just this morning, I read this very funny thing on Facebook. Someone in my network wrote down that just thinking about work is not the same as doing the work, right?
Mm,
So awareness is not execution. If you keep, again, if around awareness, if you keep telling yourself a story that, oh, I'm aware of it, I know it, that's not enough to make a difference. Yes, but what about it? Right?
right.
Kind of like I'm a doctor, I went to school and I learned all the healing and everything, but I don't treat any patients today. How good is that education? Right? So awareness will only get you so far. It's only the starting. Knowing that there is a problem is just the start. Then figuring out the solution and disciplined execution is there. Hypnotherapy, as I was mentioning, NLP and EFT and whatnot. Hypnotherapy is another one that I have seen some clients really have some help with. Again, I have a hypnotherapist, very good friend, and he mentions that people expect almost movie-like effect where he would snap a finger and the problems will be solved. And he's like, it doesn't work that way. It takes us sometimes 6 sessions, 6 months, a year, depending on how deep those problems are, how deep-rooted those stories are, right? And they still come back to, these are our demons in our heads, right? These are our created own, our own created stories. They do come back as well. But with the tools and the resources, you're able to fight them. And the tools and resources doesn't have to be a machine gun to fight this demon. It's a very simple question. Am I being fair to myself? Am I taking it too personally? Some of these very simple objective questions can help you get your head clear, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That was really good. I really appreciate that. I have a minute until a meeting I have, but
Yes.
it was really important to me to be able to, get your perspective on that. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much
absolutely.
for having on.
Thank you for being here.
So good. That was perfect. I know you just basically started something with just Jasmine that's going to change her life, like the trajectory of her life, but being able to understand how to deal with those thoughts and stories, I mean, it can change everything. I had to hire a professional, and I had to work with professionals, and I did the NLP and the hypnosis, and this is what I practice with my clients now too, to get rid of the stories. Holy man, there's always more. There's always levels to it, There's always more. So this is powerful. I really appreciate you. There's a couple of questions, and maybe some of my own limiting beliefs came up when I read these, because one of them was about passive income and investments. I'm a big fan of investing, obviously. I mean, investing is everything. Passive income, I have some I guess skepticism about. I think that sure, you can create something that's going to create money, like an asset, of course. But people oftentimes think that it's not going to require action on the front end to make that vehicle go. But I'd love to know your perspective on this. What are your thoughts on passive income and investing?
Okay, so they are somewhat related too, because passive income, in my opinion, is very, very, very misunderstood. And again, this is all the noise that we hear from a lot of people who have, they are business coaches. And again, I don't mean any disrespect to them, but the idea is, if you have never run a business, if you have never been been a management consultant where you have really dug deeper into businesses and solved their problems, you can hurt people by giving wrong advice, right? And I see that happen all the time. Something similar has happened to the idea of passive income as well, because of internet marketing in general. Again, it's a very broad general opinion, and it's mine. So again, no disrespect to anybody. The idea is the passive income is typically sold, from what I see, is, well, create a product and and it's passive income because now all you have to do is just go sell it. And that's not passive income, because you're still very actively involved in, from ads to delivery to to making sure that the product stays relevant. Because an ebook I will write today with the idea of passive income is obsolete in 6 months. A better book, a better strategy, a better whatever has already come up in the market. So these things are not true. Like the internet marketing is not true passive income. You're still always actively involved. I'm very old school when it comes to passive income because I truly believe in passive income. And that comes from investments. That comes from assets that start to work for you. So a very day-to-day example is a second house that you can buy, right? A second house that you buy it in in a holiday or touristy kind of a spot. You you put it on Airbnb and and all that kind of fun jazz. You outsource majority of the tasks, so you don't have to go clean up the sheets and change the towels and things like that. You mark it up all in the business itself. It would be a little income, but it is truly passive. You're not doing as much to run this business. Same goes for your investment portfolio. You have invested into some really good stocks, and these are dividend paying stocks. The dividend coming on it, in the true sense, it's a passive income because you're not working for it every day, right? So when you think of passive income, start to think, what can I do? And it's all front loaded work. So the passive income doesn't start day one. You build those assets, and one day they start to give you passive income, right?
That's it.
That even that home that I just mentioned, that's an asset. If you have the cash to buy it full cash or no debt, that is an asset from day one. But if you bought it on a mortgage or some sort of a loan, then of course it is a liability up until it's paid off. So yes, it's passive, but it becomes an asset and passive income once you have paid off everything.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping that in mind, that okay, what activities can I do to build assets that will continue to pay me regardless of market changes and whatnot, is the true passive income. It comes from assets, it comes from investment. It doesn't come from writing an ebook and putting it on sale forever for $9.99. That's all it is.
Mm. Dude, that was actually very crystal clear. Thank you so much for clearing that up. We do get close to the time, so we need to start wrapping up. I want to thank you, Devesh, for dropping the value bombs here. Now, if anyone's listening, watching, and they want to get more help with their money mindset, they want to get some expertise about what passive income vehicles can they build, what can they do to take more money home and make life work for them? How do they get what they want, right? So if anyone's like this here now and they have questions for you directly, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, my Facebook group is where I hang out the most. I just dropped the link here. It's profiteccetera.com/club. So this is our club. This is where we hang out. This is where I go live, just like just like you do for Conscious Entrepreneur. This is my playground. People are more than welcome to join me here, ask questions, get free coaching, because I do that all the time, like these kind of sessions. I make a lot of resources and tools available there. So that's another benefit. So, cash flow tools, how to do your this, how to do your that in money. I do all sorts of stuff in that playground. So that's the best spot to start. Other than that, yeah, I'm very active on Facebook, very active on LinkedIn. So connect with me and I'm a very friendly guy. I don't bite. And I don't have the ego of the 8-figure entrepreneur CFO. So, I'm more than happy to help anybody who needs help.
Yeah. So Yaniaki is on, and even though we're at the time, I'm going to give him an opportunity to just drop one question for you real quick before we.
Yeah, no, I appreciate every live person. So Yanaki, go ahead.
Hey Devesh, thank you guys for hosting the event, man. I'm at the gym right now, but I'm listening to you. So I have a question for Mario, and I saw you through Brad's Human group, and you said about self-programming, like kind of thing. I live a wonderful life in a wonderful way. Is there a way that you can like? Is there anything that you can repeat to yourself so you can like help kind of remove all these like mental blockages and self-sabotaging beliefs that you have?
Yes, absolutely.
So more like an affirmation?
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
I think that was a question for me, right, Yaniaki?
Yeah.
That was a question for me, right? Okay. So yeah, so what he's referring to is I have this affirmation. Yeah, it's an affirmation that I do with my clients, and it goes like this. It's like, I live a wonderful life in a wonderful way. I have new wonderful clients come my way every day. I give them wonderful service for a wonderful pay because I live a wonderful life in a wonderful way. And so it's just literally this mantra. We do it together. It's fun. And it's basically subconsciously, priming your mind to start seeing clients everywhere, where before, you could have been sitting in front of someone and you wouldn't even notice that they have a problem that you can help them with. So it's been really, really powerful. That's one thing. Now, that's kind of going towards, right? That's building positive beliefs about yourself and creating clients. Now, the self-sabotage, there is a wealth of beliefs that we have to, literally what I do with my clients is I have a list of questions that I go through and I ask them. And then, it's always, usually starts, and I'm sure Devesh can relate to this, it's like starts in your childhood usually where the programming begins. And then we have a list of questions and we go through with a fine tooth comb to like get them all out, but it does take a lot.
Yeah.
If you want to start doing something on your own, I would say do the exercise I was describing earlier, where if you imagine, if you imagine money as a female, as a person, what would be your relationship? Like, how far is she away? And why is that? And start working with that. Does this answer your question?
Yep.
I love it, man. I love it. It almost sounds like a very solid rap there.
It is, man. Like
that. Rhymes so well.
we like to have fun, right? So let's do it.
Yes, that is fun.
All right, Yaniaki, thank you so much for hopping on. If you have more questions, you know where to reach Devesh in the group, Profit, etc. Obviously, you know where to reach me. Other than that, brother, thank you so much for being here, and big thanks for Devesh for sharing your gifts with us, man, and dropping the value. Thank you, guys.
Thank you both. Thank you, Miro, for having me. And yeah, if there's anything I can do to help, just always know I'm here.
Absolutely. Stay tuned for the next one, guys.
Yeah, take care.